So now it's time for our S3 hands-on demonstration. And in this short demonstration, we are actually going to download a zip file that contains all the elements that you need to upload to your very own S3 bucket. Once you unzip those files, you're going to see that the contents are really the various elements that you need to create a static website. And as we mentioned earlier, for content that doesn't change a lot, which when we use the word static, that's what we're referring to, then S3 buckets are the perfect location for that. And so here, let's go ahead and take a look. If you, of course, unzip that file, this is going to be what you see here, an index.html file, and of course, an assets folder that has some images here. But taking a look at this index.html file, we see some code here in the header, just some jQuery being used. And if we scroll down, really just a combined the HTML as well as the CSS, which styles the page and provides not only the color, but the padding and alignment and the size of the words and things like that. It's all contained within this one file. And in full transparency, I actually created this page myself, and I'm not a web developer, so I definitely have a long ways to go, but just wanted to challenge myself and continue to grow my skill set and put this together. So again, this is what you'll have in that zip file. But as we can see here, we call out those assets that are, of course, contained in that asset folder. So when we see it here, a few steps down the line, this is just really what the page do. A very, very simple website, and you can actually play around with it on yourself. In Visual Studio Code Editor, we used this early on in one of the earlier modules, but we can see how a lot of the tools that you'll use as a cloud professional are gonna not only work for just one thing, you can use them for multiple different occasions. So definitely get familiar with them and continue to test the boundaries and test yourself as well. So let's go ahead and head back to the console. All right, here, so we got a blank slate right here. So let's go ahead and create a bucket. We'll click here on create a bucket. We'll give this a name. Let's say www.nyf. Let's call this demo 2023. Hopefully no one has that name again. Need a global unique name. We'll keep it in the US East 1 region. And for the object ownership, we'll change this just to make it a little bit easier. We need to make this publicly accessible, of course, to reach it across the internet. We'll acknowledge this, and we'll go ahead and enable bucket versioning, and we'll leave decryption as a disabled for now. And let's go ahead and create that bucket. Again, that process is pretty quick, as we saw early on. So we see that objects can be public. So let's go ahead and click in our bucket, and we're going to upload our assets here. All right, so let's see what we got. So again, we have the HTML and of course the assets folder. So I'm gonna go ahead and highlight both, drag and drop both of them in, and we're good to go. So let's go ahead and click upload, and let's see. We can change this ACL right here. Skip a step so that we don't have to come back. All right, let's see. We'll close this right now. And so there we go. Let's see if these objects are public. We'll select both of these and then we'll make them public using an ACL. There we go. All right. Now we need to, let's see. Now we need to enable, let's see, it's going to be way down here, static website hosting. We'll click edit, static website hosting. We'll click enable. And right here, we can leave this again, index.html. We'll go ahead and type that since that is the name where we want the landing page to be for these requests. We'll hit save changes. Give that a few moments. All right, let's go back to our objects, and on this index.html, we'll click in here. And as we can see, we have that object URL. So right now, if we right click and open the page in a new tab, then we actually that quickly have a website here, static website that's hosted across the internet. We could provide this URL to anyone, a friend, a colleague, someone that wanted to do proofreading or anything like that. And just, again, easy breezy, simple website here. And like I said, you can take the time to play around with the code, change up the colors or the logo or anything like that, and definitely expand your skill set there. But that's really all that was needed to do that. So definitely was pretty cool doing that. And let's see what else we can do while we're in here. One thing that we didn't mention in our last lesson is actually creating a policy to protect. This, again, allows public read access to anyone, but we need to provide some further protection. So we can actually place a permission on this policy. So let's go ahead and go back to our bucket. We'll go to properties. And again, for the transfer acceleration, we don't need to enable that right now. We don't have CloudFront enabled, so no issues there. But underneath permissions and bucket policy, if we click on edit, then we see here that AWS actually has a policy generator right here that'll help us out. So if we click there, it'll open up in a new tab. And if you're not too familiar with JSON, that JavaScript object notation, then this will help you kind of walk it through in plain narrative, so to speak. So we want to create an S3 policy, bucket policy more precisely. So we'll click there. And the effect is we do want to allow access. So we'll leave that. And for the principal, we want this to be a star, anybody basically on the internet. And the actions, again, right now, we just want them to be able to do a get object to basically request the website. So we'll select that. And then for the ARN, if we go back to our bucket, it's actually right there. So we'll copy that. And what we need to do to provide access is to do a slash, a forward slash, and then a asterisk or a star, so that any of the objects that are contained in the bucket are actually allowed to be requested as well. So if we hit add statement, generate policy, we're going to go ahead and just simply copy this bad boy, go back to our policy, paste it on in, and then save those changes. And so now we're providing further protection to our bucket policy so that no one can do any kind of like hanky-panky and try to see other objects that they shouldn't be reading if someone were to upload something afterwards. So we can see that if we come back here and refresh, still allow access. One final thing to demonstrate, again, if we were to go to CloudFront to provide quicker access globally. So let's say folks out in Australia or Singapore or in Europe were accessing the site right now because this is in the US East region. They would probably experience some latency. But of course, we saw earlier that AWS has plenty of locations in different regions and edge locations around the globe. So we see here that now for the origin domain, let me zoom in just a bit. Because we have that bucket and we edit it to enable it to be a website, we can select this, and we won't go forth and do this, but this is basically the many options that you have. You can use Origin Shield to provide some security protections against malicious items there, default cache behavior, so that because this is a static website and things don't change, if 1,000 requests were made a day, we can just basically cache this home page here, so that because it's not changing, they will make a single request that's already cached there locally to kind of save on some processing there. Just tons and tons of options. You can save some money here by, depending on the location that you want this to be, CloudFront to serve it. In those edge locations, you can make filters there. And of course, AWS's web application firewall protects against many of those malicious attacks at the layer 7 application layer there. So pretty cool. Lots and lots of options. But like we said, we'll cancel out of here. And again, in this hands-on demonstration, we saw that it was very simple to go ahead and host a website there on an S3 bucket. So hope you enjoy this. Like I said, your knowledge, your experience, and just all that you've learned thus far through each of these modules that, of course, build upon each other. Definitely come a long way. Definitely continue to be a superstar, and super proud of you. And I hope, like I said, that you found value not only in this lessons but the others. And we're almost there. But again, we got a little bit more ways to go. So I'll see you in the next video.